Alright, what's going on, guys? It's another episode of Coaches Convos. I'm Coach Will. I'm here with Coach Con. I can never get that right. Coach Con.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And my voice is cracking like crazy, so if I sound like a 14-year-old, I apologize. I'm going to get through it.
Yep,
so hopefully Quan leads most of this conversation, which is good because this is something that we can both actually get into detail about. I want to talk about program splits, how you split your program up, why you split your program up the way you do, and then this program split you do for your clients.
Yeah.
New ones, veterans, this and that. You want to kind of take the lead on this one?
Most definitely. Okay, so talking about programming and splits necessarily, I want to make this a point. Make it make sense for you. Necessarily, everyone's schedule throughout the day, everyone's work, job, everything is different completely. So as long as it makes sense to you and it's giving you the good results, I would stick to it and keep doing it. You know what I mean? But for say, if you come to me and you're looking to start training, I would recommend 2 to 3 times a week just to get started, and then 4 to 5 times a week if you're more advanced and you are looking to, hit some killer results in a shorter amount of time necessarily. Now that does depend on the said person. Say if it's a fat loss client and they're coming in, they've never worked out before. Necessarily, I would start them off with just 1 time a week.
Yes.
That's all. 1 time a week, making it make sense to them. Coming from a background of not doing any physical activity, 1 time a week just to get them accustomed to being inside the gym and then using the machines, actually exercising, you know what I mean? Getting them accustomed to the exercise for, say, will get them in a better result range in a short or long-term period. But say if it's someone that's, trying to get it a little bit quicker and they are still a fat loss client, we're recommending 2 to 3 times a week, depending on their budget and what they could work with. We'll probably start off at 2 and then implement adding just another day throughout the week. So now when we are training clients or myself per se, fat loss or just muscle building, maintenance clients, anything like that, 1, 2, or 3 times a week. The program depends on what they are looking to achieve as well. Obviously, depending on your goal, it'll be a little bit different programming. But I always start most of my people out on a full body program where we're doing 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 exercises per muscle group on said workout day. I find that full body programs make it very simple for the said person doing it. You target 1 or 2 exercises per muscle group, get in, get out, and then you do that over, whether it's 1 time a week, 2 times a week, or 3 times a week. And now for my more advanced people where we're doing splits, where we're meeting 4 or 5 times a week, we're probably going to split that up a little bit, or still do a full body program because you could get a major amount of results with doing full body. We go more in depth on that a little bit later, or we could have a separate little pod for full body workouts. But even so, with the full body, with my more advanced people, I'll probably split that up a little bit more, where we're doing chest, back, shoulders, legs, all isolated, arm day, all isolated, but it all depends on what they are looking to achieve. We'll isolate and then target that a little bit more. You know what I mean? If it's someone that's not a fat loss client, but they're lacking on their biceps and they're like, I just want to get bigger arms. We're going to emphasize our arms a little bit more necessarily than doing our legs, you know what I mean? Just so that we get them to their goal necessarily. But what would you say for you?
So for me, when it comes to my clients, same thing. I'll probably start with, depending on their level of expertise. So if they've never done a workout ever before, I usually recommend 2 days no matter what, just because that opens up my avenue of what I could do. I also look at how many days are they realistically going to work out on their own. So if it's someone I know they're not going to train on their own, if they say, like, I'm hiring a trainer because that's the only way I can get into the gym, well, then that changed my scenario. Now it changed to, all right, well, I recommend doing 2 times a week at least. We're going to have a break in between, and we're going to do an upper body and lower body, or full body. My rule of thumb is, if they're not training outside of me, it's going to be full body. And I'm going to encourage them to take a 3rd day to do a full body or whatever they specifically look for. If it's a lady looking to build up her legs or a guy looking to build up their upper body, I'd say take that 3rd day and do just that. Do just what you want to do, not force them to do something they don't want to do just yet, because I'm still trying to build that behavior change. I'm trying to work them into a way that gets them to go on their own. But in the meantime, while they're working on getting to figure out how to work out on their own, I always like to, my rule of thumb is hitting every muscle group at least twice a week. So if we're only training 2 times a week, that means we're doing 2 full body days. If you can do 2 days on your own, 2 days with me, or if we're training 4 days together, upper, lower, is always my go-to. My other big thing is, on top of making sure I'm hitting every body part at least twice a week, I also want to make sure I'm resting every body part in between sets. So I'm not doing 2 full body days back to back. I trained someone this morning. We're making up from yesterday. We did a total body day today, and I realized we're going to work out tomorrow. Well, let's push our days over. Tomorrow will be a rest day, and then we'll do an upper, lower Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
To make up for it. Because you want to give that lactic acid buildup some time to recover. Studies show it's anywhere between 24 to 48 hours after an intense bout of weight training is what you need to properly execute another workout for that muscle group.
Yeah. Can I add to that?
Absolutely.
Because I did have, just by experience, I did have a guy, Carlos, love you to death. Hope you're watching these. Carlos, so I would meet him 5 times a week, literally almost a full year. And we did full bodies every single day. But what we did was 1 compound lift. So it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We did our compounds, our heavy lifts, where we would do a big workload, whether it's bench press, squats, incline press, lunges, or barbell rows, or the cable row, literally a compound for our chest, back, shoulders, legs as well. And then on the Tuesday and the Thursday, we would split it up. That would use it as our rest, where we're not going super heavy and taxing on the muscle group, but we're still getting that volume and load. So we would call it our accessory day. So we would do 2 workouts for that said muscle group still, but stay nice and light and just feel the connection and work mind-muscle connection. That's also something that we'll touch base on in a little bit later. But yeah, just to build that mind-muscle connection up. So I know that you said that you throw a rest in between, but we would go 5 days straight and then take Saturday and Sunday off. And then he was able to put on a good amount of size just doing that for the course of the year.
So I guess his recovery was on point.
Yeah.
That's my biggest. I have a lot of people that I don't trust their recovery, or not that I don't trust their recovery. I know their recovery and it's lacked it up.
100%.
If you're not recovering, so if you're coming into that workout way too sore and you're not, and I'm sure you guys gauge that as well. If he came in and he wasn't able to do, proper reps and proper form, then you probably backed off on that specific muscle group, right? All right, yeah.
First set.
Then I'm totally with that. I'm totally on board with that. I like to do that. It's just a very simple rule of thumb, very simple reminder for people to not overtax a single muscle, because you're gonna have people, keep it simple, stupid. I try and make it as basic, because I don't want people to tell me when I have my leg day program set up, like, oh, I know we're hitting legs on Monday, and on Sunday you did deadlifts and squats and leg press. You did 3 compounds. You killed your legs, and now you're expecting to come in now and do legs again with me. You're not going to get anything out of that workout, and it's going to be a waste of both of our time.
Yeah,
so,
and then also to add to that, he was one of those guys that needed me there. They needed me there. I still work out with him to this day. Love you to death.
That's awesome. No, but absolutely. So, for the more advanced lifters, and for guys like us, same thing. We're trying to hit all our muscle groups at least 2 times a week. I'll add a 3rd day of a specific muscle group if I am looking to grow that. So, in the bodybuilding sense, my biggest thing for my first competition was my back. I needed my back a little bit wider. I still need it wider. But, so I ended up taking actually 1 leg day out, focusing entirely 1 leg day, and then I would have a 3rd day of just back. Just to kind of get that. But I still follow that same rule where I give myself that 24 hours rest. So I'll do pull, then push, then legs, then pull, then push, then pull. Something like that. I'm trying to remember what exactly I did. But
and then I found myself for the same bodybuilding event, first and second show last year. I was starting out on a push-pull leg split, and then I found myself doing a common bro split. Like, that's just 1 set exercise. 1 set muscle group for that day, and I found that to give me a good amount of results. But then, like you said, I wasn't able to hit each thing 2 times a week, so I had to isolate what I wanted to see progress in, and that was chest and shoulders, and then my back. So I didn't need my legs. I barely did my legs 1 time a week, but I would emphasize getting an extra push day and an extra pull day, and then I would just do 1 rest day throughout the week as well. So that's how we made it work: push, pull, legs for some time, and then a common bro split. But my bro split was still a push a pull and then a leg still in a sense, you know what I mean. But on the second push day, I would do more so shoulder focused and then triceps as well. My first push day was straight chest basically.
Right. My last training block, pretty much from postseason to now, was push pull legs. And then instead of doing a bro split, I did chest and back, and then I did arms, and then I did legs.
Yeah.
Now, my argument for that was that doing the chest and back first, I definitely hit and stimulated the bicep and tricep and shoulder, but I didn't necessarily isolate them. So then I went to an isolation right afterwards after pre-exhaustion. But that also came with a lot more tax, a lot more recovery needed, which I'm just not realistically doing right now. So I split it again as of January. So now I'm actually doing a pull day first, and I'm doing my deadlifts. Because the deadlifts, as much as I normally put it as a leg day workout, it hits everything, so we can do it on back.
Yeah.
Then we have I'm doing push today. Then it's going to be a leg with focus on form, because I noticed when I'm doing my squats, because I only did one day, I was kind of just throwing on heavy weight, and I realized my form was sacrificed. So I'm taking a day just to isolate focusing on my form, and then I would do a chest and back day on Thursday, and then I would actually put my heavy leg day in between that, so I'm getting less of a rest in between my 2 leg days, but it wasn't such a taxing leg day on Wednesday. It was more volume focused, just like what you were doing with Carlos, a heavy day and then a volume day.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had even a chest and back day in between those 2, and then I finished Saturday with arms, because that's also just a great feeling, just to get into your weekend with some arms before you get a rest day.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what you're doing right now?
That's my current split.
Alright, so now that I wanted to change divisions, so yeah, I didn't do legs before at all. Completely didn't do legs, just maybe one time a week. And it was heavy legs. We're focusing on the quads, hamstrings, glutes as well. Completely wasting so much time inside the gym, maybe about 2.5 hours just to complete those legs. But now moving forward, I wanted to change divisions. I wanted to be, classic physique, wear the short shorts. Don't make fun of me, but you guys will see the legs popping out soon. So with that being said, my new split has been Monday and Friday. I've been doing legs each day. So it's a quad and calf focused on Monday. Yesterday I tried to squat 405 pounds. Holy smokes, guys, that was scary. That was literally scary, but I'm very happy that I tried that. I didn't get either. But then that's my heavy squat day. And then Friday I'm going to be doing more of a hamstring and glute focus, where I'm still targeting my quads. I have enough time to recover from the heavy squats on Monday. And then in between there, I fill it in. So Monday, Friday, both leg days. And then Tuesday I do like a push. And then Wednesday I do a pull. And then back on Thursday, I'm now taking a rest day. So Thursdays are going to be completely non-working out, but I also do high intensity interval classes. I'll get more into that when we're talking about the mind muscle connection. So that's why I take it to the rest on Thursday. I make it make sense for me. I'm already doing a workout with my older ladies. It's not necessarily a taxing workout, but it is a workout. So I use that as my rest day. Friday pick back up with the legs again, and then Saturday I try and mix up the chest and back, how you would throw it in on your Fridays or whatever. And that's been working out for me for going on in the past like 5 or 6 weeks, and I'm looking to continue doing that all the way through. Now when we get a little bit closer to the said competition or show, I'm probably going to go back to the common bro split, where I can just pin piece each said muscle group and then really get to isolate and dice up in that sense. But I still have to keep an extra leg day. Can't forget that. So I'm not looking forward to that, but the legs have been growing just to do just with that added 1 leg day, most definitely.
No, absolutely. And I agree, definitely. Like this training block is probably gonna come to end once I start my prep. Same thing. I'm going to I'm gonna reassess my physique going into the prep, seeing what I need to work out. For my division, I need more of that top shelf, so I'll probably do what I did for my last show, which was have a third push day that just isolates the upper chest and the medial delt, just to get that width and get that nice top shelf. But
even so, going into that mind muscle connection, being so that I do the HIIT classes a lot. What do? I got Monday morning. Well, hold on. Let's bring it back. I got Sunday morning, Monday morning, Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and then Friday morning as well. So that's 6 classes.
6 classes.
6 classes. So I have to make it make sense for me, and then pinpoint my rest days. So again, I take another rest, or I don't work out on Sundays. But with that being said, with the group classes compared to the exercising on the floor, we still have to develop something called a mind-muscle connection, just so that we're getting the most out of our said workouts. And what is the mind-muscle connection? It sounds exactly how it sounds: mind and then muscle. So think about the movement as you're going through the movement, feel the movement in said muscle regions as you're going through it. I don't know why. For some reason, sometimes my clients, they'll tell me, "Oh, I feel the chest fly in my shoulders," but it's after we finish the set. You should not feel the chest flies in your shoulders. I would have loved you to tell me before the set so I could fix what necessarily is incorrect about your posture and or form, or just doing the rep necessarily. So that all plays a role, major role. You shouldn't necessarily feel chest flies in your shoulder. It does engage your shoulders a little bit, but that just means your shoulders are coming a little bit too far and taking over the movement. So the mind-muscle connection is something that is super vital when we are working out, whether it be for bodybuilding, powerlifting, any training modality, group fitness, group training, and everything. But the group training is a little bit harder, being so the instructor, because there is about either 8 people some days, or 20 people some days, 30 people some days. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to go around and correct everyone's posture and form. That's why we have social cues. We cue things out, we scream it out to them, or we're just talking to you right in your face. We tell you those cues just to reassure that mind-muscle connection is there or building, just to make sure that you're thinking about the said movement and the posture and form as you're going through. So, for example, on our bench press, I had one of my guys, Larry, that takes the class. He comes down, he's like, "Man, I felt it on the bench press. It completely changed the bar when you said squeeze the bar as well. Brace your stomach and take a deep breath on the way down. Let the air out as you push." Very, very simple. But it enhances mind-muscle connection. Just
Absolutely.
as simple as that. He said he felt like it added 5 more pounds to the bar, and that's what we're looking to do. Make the lighter weight or the not-so-challenging stuff challenging to us. All right, and just to give us that stimulus, that shock to either grow or strip that body fat off.
Absolutely, and that's something I had like a conversation with for weeks and weeks and weeks with this one guy. He's like, I want to put more weight, He kept trying to add more weight. I kept taking it back down because his form was terrible. I said, your form isn't, like, 1, your form isn't good, and 2, you're not feeling where you're supposed to. I ask you during the workout, where are you feeling it? And you tell me everywhere but you're supposed to.
Yeah.
So, we're going to go slower, we're going to go lighter, and we're going to feel every inch of that rep, and we're going to make sure we're actually feeling it in the right places.
Pause.
Anyways, perfect example of this is I had a girl, she was doing a plate loaded lateral raise.
row?
Yeah,
Oh.
lateral row, you're right.
My bad.
And she's like, oh, I'm feeling it in my bicep. So I said, alright, I want you to lead with your elbow, not your wrist, not your hand. I want your elbow to be pulling back, not your hand. And immediately, it looked with my naked eye, I couldn't see a difference.
Yeah.
But what I did see was her facial expression when I made that cue. Like you said, those little social cues. And it made she went, oh, yeah, now I'm feeling it.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
something as simple as that.
And it's very simple like that, just to add on to it, just so that they have, like, something to really look into and think about, because it is very simple and vital. It's very small cues that are necessary to reassure yourself that you are working the said muscle groups. So we were doing rear delt flies. I simply said, where are you feeling? More and more my traps.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's telling me that we're either pinching our traps a little bit when we come back here. But then my one cue was, instead of coming all the way back and squeezing as hard as we possibly could, imagine yourself shooting a bow and arrow. So we're just here to right here, and that's all.
I like
That's
that.
all. And that's what necessarily was needed for her to get a better connected feel in those said rear delts, instead of getting the traps completely involved as well. So that mind-muscle connection, man, is different.
Let's go down the list. I want to go down, like, I want to name off muscle groups, and then I want you to think of a common workout that people do wrong, and how you can and what cues you can give them to get it in the right feeling. So let's start with, like, we'll do top to bottom. So let's start with traps. What's something that you feel like a trap workout that people do that they don't feel in their traps, and how do you fix that? It's only a couple workouts, but
Yeah, like, jeez. I'm thinking shrugs, but if my guys do shrugs wrong, out the door. Kidding, totally. But shoulder shrugs is something that we do for our traps and or for our shoulders as well. But when we are trying to target our traps, I specifically would lean forward a little bit and hold the dumbbells behind my back and then get more of a better squeeze. You guys can't see my back though. Sorry, I'm doing it. I don't know why. But one of the things that I get when we are doing those shoulder shrugs is I feel it in my forearms and biceps a little bit more than necessarily in my shoulders. So one of the social cues that I give is less tension on the bar. So if you're using your hands to squeeze the bar, that's just going to engage your wrist and forearm. So you can literally do it right now in your seat, wherever you guys are, in your car, whatever. Make a fist, squeeze your hand, forearm tenses up, and bicep gets engaged depending on where it is in your area. Okay, so one of my cues for them while they're doing the shrugs is to loosen up their grip on the dumbbells. Think about, just let the dumbbells relax in your hands. Drive up, straight up with your shoulders to your ears, and then back down without squeezing or tensing up on your forearms and your bicep. That is something that does tend to happen, as well as the triceps engaging at the bottom of the movement, and that's just because they're locking out the elbows and squeezing, more so thinking about holding the dumbbells up instead of just relaxing with the dumbbells in hand necessarily. Now that's one for the traps for me. What would you say?
So I would agree with the shrugs, and I agree with the bicep to forearm. My thing is, I'll tell them to either take the thumb out of it, just to kind of help force them not to engage. Also tell them to watch their wrist, because it's so easy when you're coming up. You want to get it higher up. You want to get to the top of the rep. Your body is going to instinctively, torque that wrist in, and you're going to tighten up on your bicep. Or you're going to literally curl the weight to try and bring it up higher. So you're actually going to almost do a drag curl instead of a shrug, where your elbow's going to kick back behind you.
That is very true.
That's a big one. Another one, and also for the sake of just doing 2 workouts, I can also think of farmer's carries, farmer's walks. Same thing. You're going to either start going faster, so now you're going to start feeling it in your legs or your lower back, God forbid, if you're like swinging around. And just telling them to tighten up that core and keep their shoulders, pinned back, keep their arms straight. Don't curl up the weight, because you're going to do that too. You're going to want to try and take the load off of your traps. You're going to start curling your farmer's carries. So if you're doing trap bar deadlifts with it, you're doing like the trap bar, you're doing really heavy, you're trying to curl 135, you're going to have a bad day.
I just remember one day doing a leg day with you on our road to pro and doing a trap bar RDLs to the fireman carry. And it's like, we couldn't even make it to the end of the hole because of the forearm engagement. Just by set number 3, obviously, not just 1 and 2. It felt pretty good. It felt good all the way through. But set number 3, it's just like I could barely even walk and hold the bar at this point, just because of that forearm engagement. It was and isolation in the arms instead of the traps.
And we only did 135. And that video plays here all the time, and the face you make in that video, you are not happy with me.
Only 135. Oh my god. Yeah, it was terrible, but
it was a good workout.
Yeah, no, but even so, moving on to a different muscle group. What would you say for chest? What's common for you?
Oh, so many. You already touched on the flies.
Yeah, I touched on the flies.
I'll do a bodyweight one for this one. Actually, I'll do the push-up.
Ooh, I was thinking that too.
So I just had this with one of my girls, where she's trying to learn how to do normal push-ups. Right now she's doing the knee push-ups. Yeah. And she's like, I don't feel it in my chest though. I feel it in my shoulder.
Sorry, the knee push-ups, perfectly fine. I recommend them for every level of fitness and expertise. Whatever you are doing, if you can't do a push-up right now, get on your knees, do the push-ups from your knee. If you can do a push-up, pause. If you can do a push-up, do as many push-ups as you possibly could standing up, and then exhaust yourself from the knee. I would highly recommend that. Boom.
I agree with that one. I'll even take it one further. I have a lot of people doing wall push-ups.
Okay.
It completely changes the dynamic, because you're up on the wall, your hands are by your chest, you're feeling that chest engagement, and for any of these push-ups, whatever you do, same thing. I want to try and give a big old hug. One of my clients, she said, like hugging a beach ball. You want to have a wide berth. You want to have, I like to drive from my pinkies, so I actually put all my pressure on my pinkies, and I want to try and either take the wall or the floor and bring it together. Okay. And that's how I get that chest activation when I'm doing it. I also want to make sure my hands are actually at chest level. In any of these push-ups, I don't want to put them up here, which is very common and very easy to cause shoulder impingement.
Most definitely. I've seen some ugly push-ups in my time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Very ugly push-ups. But yeah, I already touched on the flies. I would say the flies where we're feeling it more in our shoulders, where our shoulders are just engaging a little bit too much. Yes, you're going to have shoulder engagement, but it shouldn't take over the movement. It is a chest isolation, so we want to isolate our chest. Okay, so we should be feeling it completely in our chest. One of the cues for me that's helped me when I was doing my flies is just the wrist twist necessarily. So I would start out with my wrist open, and then I would turn my thumbs in together in the middle of my chest, depending on where I'm going on my fly. You can do your flies across your chest, above your chest, or in a decline. But for me, necessarily, that I've been doing for my training, what I changed was just the connective tissue feel was a lot better when I started turning and pointing my thumbs together in the middle or in line with my chest. Or just being in line with whatever I'm necessarily trying to hit. If it's an upper pec or incline fly, still in line, but I'm going with my thumbs together now.
I can talk about chest all day. I just got 2 more, and then we'll move on to the next workout. So when it comes to this, is something I'm constantly telling my people whenever I'm training them: shoulders down, chest up, pinch back.
Oh yeah, roll those shoulder blades back, baby. If you got a back pad, shoulder blades should be on the back of the pad. If you have a head pad, head should be on the back of the head pad. Give it a little slight arch in your lower back to push your hips. Use your heels to push your hips and glutes all the way back. So your posture and form should be the number one thing before you even start. If your posture and form is off, you're probably going to feel something off as well.
Right away. And then a good way to get the mind-muscle connection in this one of my favorite workouts, actually, it's a good warm-up or a good superset to kind of burn the chest on top of it, is I'll take a 5-pound plate. You can even do it with your hands right now. You put your hands together and you're just pressing your palms into each other. You want to try, that's why I like, for some people it's hard to do just their palms and they don't feel it in their chest. That's why I take a 5-pound plate, a nice skinny plate, put it in between their hands, and that way they have a visual. I want you to try and push your hands through that plate. And when you're pushing in, you're going to feel all the sides.
Do that again. Look at that chest.
Easy, easy.
Look at that chest.
Shout out all the people on Spotify that can't see it. And that's just a way to, you're going to immediately feel your chest. So if you have an issue with mind muscle connection in your chest, before you even start doing any kind of workout, do that.
Yeah.
10 seconds, rest, 10 seconds, rest, 10 seconds, rest. You're going to light up those chest muscles right away. All the neurons are going to be lighting up. And then once you go into your first chest exercise, immediately you feel the engagement.
Yeah, and let me tap in on that, because for our more advanced lifters or people that have been looking into like bodybuilding and stuff like that, that is something to do to build the mind-muscle connection in between sets and as you are going through your workouts. Necessarily just going into the mirror, literally just flex, whether you're doing arms, getting a nice little bicep curl in, just flexing your arm, looking at it, just holding it for as long as you possibly could. That's something that's going to build that mind-muscle connection as well. And then for the competitors, when you're on stage, it'll eliminate the shaking and stuff like that, as well as you could hold the pose for a long period of time. So that'll be pretty good.
That was also one of our workouts in Road to Syracuse that I forget that we did, is that we did bicep curls and then immediately after superset by just doing a front double bicep flex. And I remember, I'm like, thank God there's captions, because it probably just looks like I'm just flexing in the mirror for the sake of myself. But I explained in the video, I know it looks like I'm just trying to show off, but realistically I'm trying to get that mind-muscle connection, especially after, after that workout. You're going to get such a tremendous pump and it's going to get such a good feeling. And it's going to keep that mind-muscle connection the next time you do biceps.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into biceps since we started talking about it already?
Nah, not so much. I think we should stay up on a better bicep. Dude, I'm burnt out, bro. You're going to have to edit that, bro. Fuck. Biceps. Biceps. Fuck.
So you want me to do this one?
Yeah.
Alright, so getting into biceps. It is so common. It is my biggest pet peeve is when I see people use their back or their shoulders in a bicep curl. And when I'm talking about those heavy, when you want to take the barbell and feel like a big shot, you take that barbell curl and you're going up, and immediately your back is going up, you're using that lower back, using the upper back. Not only that, your elbows are flaring forward, so now your shoulder is up. All you're doing is limiting the range of motion. You're not slick, you're not strong. So what I do, I make everybody do this, to the point of I was training one of my older clients, and one of the other trainers, Mr. Center Stage, he said, "You're a mean trainer for doing that to her." I had her go up against the wall. I took the easy bar curl. I took the outside grip. I had her put her back against the wall and her triceps up against the wall. and curling in that range of motion. Now, some people might be very limited. They might have like a little belly in the way or something like that where they can't get all the way down. But with that's why I do that easy bar outside curl. You get a much bigger range of motion. You can come all the way down and all the way back up with your arms pressed against it, your back pressed against it. Because when you're against the wall, you're going to feel yourself cheating. One, you can't use your back to bring it up. But then also, you're going to feel your arms come up off that wall. So that's how you isolate the bicep, in my opinion, with a bicep curl. Stop doing barbell bicep curls. There's a time and place to go heavy like that. I prefer a negative cheat curl, where you cheat it up for the concentric, but then you slow down and you have perfect form on the eccentric. That one lights up. My clients hate when I put them on that one.
Now, let me touch base on that too. The bicep curl as well. I don't use more than 40 to 50 pounds on the barbell or easy bar. I don't see anything fit. And now necessarily, I'm going for a high rep range when I do it, so I'm getting for 15 and 20 reps. So that's why I do stay pretty light, but some people are doing it with insane posture and form where they're literally, like you said, jolting all the way up and back, and it's just completely ugly and nonsensical. So what I figured to do was just correct my posture and form and just eliminate the cheat from that. So what I do is, and what I relate to all my clients is, I have them bend at their knees, push their hips and glutes all the way back, and now they're postured straight up, just completely like this. So now they're already leaning down necessarily. We're going to cut our range of motion, take our lower back out of the movement, and we're just going to be up and then back down, full range of motion, right to the top of the chest, full range of motion. So I found that for me has helped me tremendously, and it's helped just a few of my clients, but I give it as posture and form for the bicep curls now for all of my clients, just so that they could not be cheating and work that mind-muscle connection, actually feel it in their biceps instead of their shoulders or in their lower back once they're finished with the repetitions.
I like that. That's great. I actually do the opposite when it comes to especially my dumbbells. I actually have them sit straight up. I have their chest up, their arms back, and especially with a dumbbell curl, I over-exaggerate the range of motion. Where I actually have to bring it all the way down, and actually have them do some supination with their forearm. So they do get some forearm activation, but not necessarily overstimulating. I'm also hyper aware of their wrists, making sure their wrists aren't pulling in, because that's another way. Immediately, I feel bicep curls in my forearm only. It's because you're curling your wrist up, especially on like a preacher curl or something, and that's another reason we don't go too heavy. Again, your body loves to compensate. Your body wants to be efficient. So when you're coming up,
easier.
Exactly. So when you're coming up, it wants to shorten the range of motion for you and curl that wrist up. And now I'm overextending my forearm, and now my forearm is going to be all hurt. All right, let's do shoulders. We can even break this down into each delt if you want, or if you want to do a general, like what's your one big pet peeve with shoulders, what's something that people do that cheats their shoulder and they don't get the mind-muscle connection. And one way you can really engage the mind-muscle connection.
I would have to go with side delts, side lateral raises, the same thing where we're flinging, necessarily going a lot. So shoulders are a very small muscle group. I make this known to all of my people. Very, very small muscle group. It's a delicate muscle group. You should not feel ashamed for pressing 10 pounds with the shoulder press. It is just insane. If you haven't shoulder pressed before, we're literally going to start off with 10 pounds on each side, 15 repetitions. It will burn. It's pretty stupid. Okay? So now when we're talking about our side delts, again, our shoulders are 3 heads, front, side, and rear. That's basically it. There's not so much that you could do for it. Again, it's a very small muscle group. So one of the most common exercises is a side lateral raise. There's different variations to doing it. You go 90 degrees, straight arms, standing, seated, cable, dumbbells, barbells. There's a whole bunch. Cross body. There's literally so many different variations. But the one thing that you're going to want to do when you are isolating your shoulders, no matter what muscle group, no matter what said muscle group it is, you're going to want to stay light and then really work that mind-muscle connection. And how do you do so? On our side lateral raises, by staying light and focusing on the movement. Now we are trying to press away from our body. If we could see the movement, it would be just right here. This would be my straight arm, here. And instead people are coming here and here like they're flying away, Flappy Bird. that's one thing that I see that's most common. And then for some of my guys that do want to go a little bit heavier, push the threshold, they start using and engaging their lower back to jump and help them get the bar up. And now with that being said, when they do get the bar up, it is not a better feel as if we were using 15 or lighter weight compared to when they're not jolting and they're just coming up as slow as possible and they're getting it as high as possible as they could, getting their elbows to shoulder level compared to just right here, elbows hanging under your chest type of thing. So that's one thing that I've seen, side delt, side lateral raises, and how I cue it to isolate it out is stay light, keep your posture in form, number one, and then also avoiding the squeezing of the dumbbells. So we are trying to squeeze the dumbbells, but we go with the loose grip as well. We're not going to be wrapping our thumbs just so that our forearms don't take over. And then also just, repping it out. Good quality reps. Focus on those reps while we're going through it. That's necessarily how I train it and teach it now.
Absolutely. I love, picking on the side lateral raise because for the same reason, if you're going too heavy, not only is your back going to take over it, your lower back's going to take over it, you're not going to feel the tension at the bottom or top of the rep, and you'll barely feel in the middle. You're also going to get your traps engaged. You know how many people, myself included, I've been guilty of this, where I'm like, I feel it in my traps. I almost because you're shrugging it up to get it to the highest point of the rep, rather than using your actual medial delt, your middle delt, to bring it up. So 2 things I would say for this. 1, go with a cable. This is going to humble you. I will question your natty status if you can do more than 10 pounds on a side cable. But also, you're going to feel the tension through the whole range of motion, not just at the bottom, not just at the top, all the way through and all the way back. I will say that with any kind of workout. I love dumbbells. I use dumbbells majority. I probably 70-30. 60-30-10. Because I'll do some machines, but mainly I do dumbbells and cables. Cables are a great way, especially if you're in that bodybuilding mentality. You're looking for that hypertrophic response, that hypertrophy response. You're going to want to do cables. They will go a long way for you. And secondly, for everything else, isometric and eccentric. So the best way to do this is a 1.5 rep on the lateral raise. We've done this together as well, where you come all the way up to the top of the rep. You're going to come down halfway and stop. Then you're going to come back up to the top of the rep and then all the way back down to the bottom. This is one of my favorite workouts because you are essentially doing double the reps, but you're doing lightweight and you're getting an isometric, you're holding at the top and you're holding at the middle, but also when you go down to that middle point, because you're going to be so hyper aware that you have to stop at the middle of the rep, you're doing an eccentric on the way down. You're doing a negative rep, a nice slow rep, controlled rep, halfway down, all the way up. It's nice, slow, controlled down.
And just that little technique right there forces you to think.
Yes.
Forces you to think throughout the entirety of the movement. And now, yes, you can get caught looking or talking to somebody as you're going through it and doing it, just knowing that you're doing it. But again, just having that thought in the back of your head will build that mind-muscle connection, and that'll leave you better than not.
And that's overall, you should be very conscious and aware of your workout. I remember there's someone who told me, I listen to podcasts when I work out. I'm like, I could never, because I barely even listen to music that has words in it, because I want to make sure I'm focused. Like the constant horrible noise that's banging through my AirPods when I'm working out.
I can only imagine what you listen to.
Just straight noise, just to kind of, just so I have to, just so I have to focus on the actual workout and not what I want to do, and not like what I'm listening to or the words I'm listening to or anything like that. It helps me focus and be present in that workout. But that being said, moving on, triceps. I have a lot to speak on this one.
Right,
is there anything that you want me to break it off?
Yeah, break it off.
Alright, I'm going to start off with the tricep rope pushdown. Nothing bothers me more than when, same thing, just like the bicep, your elbows are out, you're using your back, you're going too heavy. Take it back. I've done more than one. I have half of this gym can probably complain and yell about one time I put them on the tricep rope and I absolutely decimated them with 40 pounds because I made them go nice and slow. The point of the bicep and the tricep, both these muscles, the job is just to bend your elbow from one way to the other. That is the only job that tricep does. So if you're doing anything other than bending your elbow, you are no longer using your tricep. That's how I remind people. So it's very common. When you come out, you're bringing it down. If you bring it down, you might want to push down with your chest or push down with your back to get into the bottom of the rep, I'm not using my elbow to do either of those motions, so now I lost the tension in my tricep. And then when I come back up, it's so common that when you're coming up, your elbows start to drift up. Now you're limiting the range of motion and your shoulder's engaged. Again, you're not using your tricep. So I make sure I want them to treat like, I'll literally put my fingers on right on the axis of their elbow. And I want to say, and I tell them, I don't want to feel this move at all. I want only like a machine. Like as if I ran a pin right through your body and your arms are stuck to your side. You're coming down and back up. You're going to feel the full range of motion. You're going to get a full contraction at the bottom and a full stretch at the top.
Yeah, no, and I would agree definitely. I would take those to single arm, straight out extension. So again, we're thinking of our elbow as a bow and arrow. We're just going to pull straight back and then let fly here. Come straight out, completely lock out at the elbow. Like you were saying, the elbow, the tricep is responsible for extension of the elbow. So that's exactly what we're trying to do, extend at the elbow. So if we're not getting a full lockout here, and or we're using our chest or lower back or shoulders to help us get the bar down or straight out in front of us, depending on what we're doing on the said movement, it's just going to take away from the mind-muscle connection. It's just that very simple.
And I'll do one more just because I see it so often. I'm just always like constantly annoyed at it. It's gnawing at me whenever I'm on the gym floor. Skull crushers. I don't like skull crushers. It bothers my shoulder. I have a bad shoulder. I don't do them very often, but what I see is people overloading it, and same thing. They're not only moving their elbow, their whole shoulder goes back with them, and then their whole shoulder goes forward and launches it up. So now you're turning, and your chest too. So you're turning this isolation of a tricep into a compound movement. You're essentially doing a dumbbell pullover. You're not doing a skull crusher.
I agree with you on that, and that's something that I had to fix in my classes, my group classes, because a lot of people are going here and then here, and I cued them elbows right at your chest, drop the bar to the top of your forehead, and that's what's going to lock their elbows in compared to rotating and getting those shoulders engaged and involved as well.
Or even if you do that overhead, make sure your shoulder doesn't move. So I have a guy, it's better for his shoulder health if he's overhead like this, so I put him over here, but I hold his shoulder. I literally just put 2 fingers on each side of his shoulder so that when he comes up, he can feel when he moves against my fingers. And he realizes, oh, I'm using my shoulder, let me stop engaging my shoulder, all tricep.
All right, and then what would you say for legs?
So many.
Yeah, so many. I'm thinking straight lunges.
Talk to me about lunges.
So even so on the split lunges, so I've been doing lunges in like an extended stance, so I'm not just at 90 degrees on my front and backside leg. I've been overextending to get more of the backside glute and quad. So if you could picture me being like this in a lunge stance, me pushing up off of my backside leg, I'm going to engage, that looks terrible, I'm going to engage my backside glute a little bit more compared to when I'm just doing 90 and 90 degrees, where I'm getting more focused on my front side quad, I'm focusing on my backside quad and glute. So I'm getting the stretch on the way down, and then I push up through my toe or the ball of my foot on the backside foot, and then push my hips in, squeeze your glutes. That's something that I've developed I've started doing to help me develop that mind-muscle connection, because the lunge isn't just a quad isolation, it is a complete compound exercise for your whole entire leg. So I started feeling the lunges doing that variation to it a lot better, and I've been seeing a lot more results from doing it just like that too, most definitely.
I agree. I feel like we can definitely do more episodes about this, so if you guys do want us to just break down every individual muscle group and get into more detail about some of these and proper correction.